Okay, hello, we're back. As I said before, I knew it was going to cut off. There's a 15-minute limit for every video. So that was part one, and now we're going to finish reading the story. We stopped here, Farmer Will Allen and the Growing Table. Let's go ahead and continue reading from this page.
Lucian. He had no money. Will had a start on his table. Will had a start on his table. He had the land, but the table was empty. The problem was Will's soil, dirty with chemicals and pollution. He had no money for machines to dig out the bad soil, for truckloads of good soil. What to do? In Belgium, Will had learned to make good soil with food garbage. They called it composting. But he needed lots of garbage. He asked his friends to save food waste, apple peels to old zucchinis. Will collected those scraps in big white buckets and dumped them into piles. He added hay, leaves, newspapers, red wiggler worms, water. Every now and then he turned the piles to get air into the mix. Neighborhood kids stopped by to ask what he was doing. Will told them about the piles and the red wiggler worms that would help the garbage become compost. The kids came back day after day to help. Pollution. Pollution is harmful or poisonous material in the air, water, and ground.
All right, so what is the problem? Let's talk about the text structure that's on this page that says the dirty soil. What is the problem that Will Allen has to solve? Well, he has to solve that his soil is dirty, right? That's why it's called the dirty soil. Let's underline the words that tell us that this is the problem. It says right here, the problem was Will's soil was dirty. So go ahead and underline or highlight that. All right. How does Will Allen solve the problem? He uses composting to make good soil. So he uses composting. That's when you use food waste, apple peels, old zucchini. That's all good compost. So Will collected those scraps in a big white bucket and dumped them into the piles to make better compost, or better soil. Why does the author tell about this problem? The author tells us about this problem to show that Will Allen is smart and a good problem solver, to show that a farm can be made anywhere, right? Because they're in a city and he built a farm. That's awesome. All right, let's go ahead and finish reading Red Wiggler Worms.
Red wiggler worms. Then one day, bad news. The Red Wiggler crew was dying. Will and the kids study worms for 5 years. They learned not to feed the worms too much, and they discovered the best menu for red wigglers. No hot peppers, onions, garlic, lots of watermelon rinds, sweet potato scraps, molasses. Since then, the squirmy crew has stayed hard at work. Will says worm magic is what makes his farm grow.
Why does Will Allen say worm magic makes his farm grow? What does he mean by that? Maybe that the worms help turn garbage into good soil for growing, which is kind of like a magic trick, right? So he couldn't have good soil or a good garden without those worms. That's why it's important when you garden outside and you see those worms, don't kill them. Keep them in the soil. Those are what make your plants grow nice and pretty. All right, let's go to the next page. Making a bigger table, growing power.
Making a bigger table, growing power. Once Will had good soil, he was ready to plant vegetables. But he didn't have much space. How could he grow enough food on a small city plot? Will Allen looked around. He saw that he had all the space from the soil under his feet to the top of the greenhouses. He hung plant baskets from the ceiling. He grew greens in buckets, greens in rows. He crowded shelves with pots of spinach, chard, lettuce. He grew stacks of tiny salad sprouts in boxes, hundreds of boxes. Will added hoop houses to hold more boxes and more long rows of vegetables. He added vats of water and fish to his greenhouses. Fish wastewater grows the sprouts. The sprouts clean the water for the fish. Fish, water, sprouts work together like a three-part farm machine. He added goats, chickens, turkeys, and bees to that city farm he named Growing Power. Crowded. If you crowded a space with something, you filled it up with no room left for anything else. Vats. Vats are large tanks or tubs that can hold water or other liquids. Making a bigger table.
Stop right there for a second. Okay. What are two types of text features on this page? There's two types of text features. One of them is making a bigger table. That's right here at the top, the purple, making a bigger table, growing power. And the colorful words in all caps. Those are all graphic features. So I want you to underline the two types of text. I'm sorry, these are all text features. Please underline the two types of text features. There's a difference between text feature and graphic feature. Graphic is picture and text is words. So text feature are words that are put in a special way. So let's go ahead and underline or highlight making a bigger power table, growing power. For some reason, it's not letting me highlight it. And then highlight grow enough food. I think because it's a text feature, it's not letting me. Anyway, go ahead and underline or highlight it. What do the words in all cap letters and purple text help you see? Well, the three things that work together to make the three-part machine for growing food. That's what it helps us see, right? Which is right here. It says fish, water, sprouts work together like a three-part farm machine. And all those things are what help the plants grow. Let's look at the illustrations or the pictures on this page. Let me move my screen so you can see the entire thing. All right, let's look at the picture right here. How does this picture on page 115 support the text on page 114? Well, what does it show? It shows Will Allen, and he uses all of the space in the greenhouse to grow food, right? Look, he uses the space right here. He uses the side. He uses the shelves. He uses under the shelves. He even uses the ground. He doesn't leave any space. It shows how people come together to help him. Is Will Allen on this page alone? No, that's Will Allen, but look, he has all these volunteers here helping him grow all of these beautiful crops. Which detail in the illustration about Will Allen isn't mentioned in the text? In the story, does it mention anything about people coming together and working? It doesn't, but in the picture, it shows that he is smiling. It shows he loves being a city farmer, and he makes his farm growing power by working together. All right, that's awesome. All right, let's keep going.
Finding farmers. Farmer Will's work clothes are jeans and a blue sweatshirt with cut-off sleeves. He's busy from early morning to night. Still, one person could never grow all the food Will wanted to grow. Where could he find more farmers in the middle of the city? Will Allen looked around. He saw teenagers, school children, parents, grandparents. He taught them to be farmers. Then, Will's table held as much as several supermarkets, thousands of pounds of food. Neighbors who live in high-rises, far off the growing ground, came and still come to Will's farm to buy fresh vegetables, fish, or eggs. People have gone and still go to fancy restaurants to eat Will's food. But Will wanted his table to feed folks all over the world. How could he build one huge table that crossed continents?
How has Farmer Will Allen made a difference in his community so far? He has proven that it is possible to farm good food in a city, right? He has brought good food to many people in the city, and that's why they sell all the good food in the fancy restaurants. That's awesome, Will. Let's keep going.
Growing power around the world. Will thought about the problem of the world-sized table. He looked around and saw his many helpers who learned to be farmers. He would teach people everywhere to grow food for their own tables. Will Allen began to travel. He has crisscrossed the United States showing others how to farm in the city. And he has taken his red wigglers to Kenya, to London, all over the world. The world has also come to his Milwaukee farm. 20,000 visitors a year tour the greenhouses, watch goats, snack on greens, and go home planning to start a farm on a city lot, rooftop, or abandoned highway.
Awesome. What has Farmer Will Allen's city farm shown about how people grow food? Well, it has shown that it is possible to grow food in unexpected places like cities. It has also shown that many people working together can make a difference. So him alone, he couldn't have done this. He had to work together. Let's go ahead and read the last page.
Will and the 50 million. Is Will Allen done? Never. We need 50 million more people growing food on porches, in pots, inside yards, he says. Will is always looking for new ways to make the table bigger. More schoolyard plots, a vertical farm that's 5 stories high, farms in empty factories or warehouses. Will Allen dreams of a day when city farms are as common as streetlights and every table is covered with good food. Your table. Will Allen can see what others can't see. When he sees kids, he sees farmers. Will you be on Will Allen's crew? Will you grow vegetables for your family, your neighbors, on your porch or roof or yard? How big will your table be? Vertical. Something that is vertical stands tall or points up.
All right. So, before we read the text, we saw that Farmer Will Allen was a farmer, and we knew he was a farmer because of the plants and because of the title. But what we didn't know, or what the question is that I asked at the beginning of the story, was what does that have a relation to do with growing table? So after reading the story, we have learned about Farmer Will Allen and his growing table. What they mean by growing table is that he wants to make a table big enough for everybody to eat off of. But what he doesn't mean literally eat off of. What he wants to do is he wants to go around and teach everybody how to plant their own vegetables and how to make their own food with their own vegetables. And that's what they mean by the growing table. He's not literally growing the table, but he wants to widen his horizon as much as he can. All right, that's an awesome story. Now, what you guys have to do after you watch these videos is I need you to do the collaborative discussions. You can either do it in your book, that's these 3 questions, or you can do it on the HMH website. Once you're done with that, you are going to write a report. You can either do it in your book or on the HMH website. You do not have to do the 3rd one. I'm only going to ask you to do this one and the questions. And then tomorrow you will go ahead and take the quiz and the test, or you can split it up. You can do quiz one day and the test the other. Again, the quizzes and the tests are with you, and I printed them out. If you pick them up, you can do them on the paper. If you don't want to do it on the paper, they're right here. The quiz, and then the test is right behind that. Right here. So you can go ahead and do that on paper, or you can do it on the HMH website, whichever you'd like. Either way, I'm taking a grade for it, okay? All right, guys, happy learning. It was nice talking to you all. Bye.